my name is Natalie Alfondre, and today I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about calligraphy. How often do you walk into a room and you just marvel at the art that's on the walls? Or you go to Etsy or Pinterest or Hobby Lobby and you see what the artists have done and you think it's so creative and you don't even know where to begin with that. Whenever I walk into a room, the first thing that I notice is the art that they have up because it makes the room so unique. And if the space is different from anywhere else solely because of what they've decided to put up. And all of the paintings are so meaningful because the artist has put time and effort into each stroke of the pen or the paintbrush, and it's unique to them and to their personality. And so after falling in love with all of this, I decided that I should test my hand at it and I should try out faux calligraphy, or also called hand lettering. And several years ago, I started, and I've been doing it for a while, and now I have a bunch of stuff that I've been able to put on my walls. And people ask me all the time where I got it from, and it's really rewarding to be able to say that I made it and that there's a story behind it all to me. And so I know that the same could happen for you if you just kind of take some time and practice and follow these simple instructions that I have for you. So first, before I show you how to make it, I want to explain to you the difference between faux calligraphy and traditional calligraphy. Traditionally, you would use a pen nib with an ink container, but in hand lettering or faux calligraphy, you can use whatever you have around your house. So it can be pens, markers, and it doesn't have to be super expensive stuff. It can be Crayola markers, so it doesn't really matter. And the main difference between that is just how you color it in, because a traditional pen would do all of the lines for you, and it's very technical, and it would do the thicker parts with the thin parts, but in faux calligraphy, you have to do it all yourself, and you have to follow the basic patterns with the pen. And Brittany Russell, she's a modern calligrapher, and she explains it as traditional calligraphy is a technique that takes lots of practice and focus, whereas modern calligraphy, you can do it more as art, and it's more of a drawing. So, the first step is kind of the hardest step. You have to choose the word that you want to write out. And so for me, I decided to go with grace, just because it's a word that I like to doodle, and it's important to me. And so you're just going to write it out in cursive, and you can write it as messy or as neat and as big or as small as you want it. Doesn't really matter. And it's not going to look pretty at first. I wouldn't hang this up on my wall. You probably wouldn't hang it up on your wall. It's not really that easy to read, and it's just not that attractive all around. And so you just write it however you want, and then your next step is going to be to thicken every downstroke. And the reason that we thicken all of the downstrokes is because in traditional calligraphy, when they first began, they had to thicken it so that the eye could see it better, because it's a lot easier to read this one than it is to read the simple cursive. And so Pamela Lovett, she's a traditional calligrapher, and she explained the history behind calligraphy, and that's that they used it whenever they were making important documents, such as the Bible or just other important things that needed to look pristine and have nice handwriting, but still needed to move quickly whenever they wrote it, since it's so thick. And they wanted something that could easily be deciphered by the eye. And so the traditional pens of calligraphy would make the downstrokes thicker so that the eye can follow it easier. And so you can just go in with your marker or your pen or whatever you have and follow every line that your hand would go down whenever you normally make the mark, and make it as thick as you want it to be. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of up to you. And then at that point, you basically have your calligraphy almost done. The next thing is kind of just a personal opinion, and that would be to go over everything and just make it as smooth and as complete as you want it. I like to make my upstrokes thicker, just so that it kind of stands out a little bit more, but not as thick as the other parts, so it still has a contrast. And I also like to add swirls to the ends of the words, just for a little bit of difference and complexity. But that's the unique part about calligraphy, is that it can be different for everyone. And nothing that I write is going to look the same twice, and nothing that I write is going to look the same as what you write. And that's why there are actually so many different patterns of calligraphy, is because over time it changes with the different eras and what's going on in that time and what's popular. And so that's why modern calligraphy has become so popular lately, because it's very free-flowing and it's more of an art rather than a handwriting. And so with that, if you just practice this over and over again, I promise that you will have it good enough to where you can hang it up on your wall, and it's so much more important to you and meaningful to you to have a story behind it rather than something that you could buy at Hobby Lobby. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.